Ever wish you could just get right to the heart of a story, like skip all the fluff and just hear about the most amazing stuff? Well, that's what we're all about today. We're doing a supercharged deep dive into the careers of the top 20 college baseball players from 1975 to 2025.
Yeah, think of it as a crash course on some absolute legends of the game.
We've done all the digging through the stats, the awards, all that stuff, so you can sit back and soak up the essential knowledge about these incredible athletes. And remember, we're just focusing on their college careers here.
Right, strictly college ball. And across all divisions, NCAA and NAIA, no stone left unturned.
So our mission, if you choose to accept it, is to discover who these giants of the college game were, what made them so dominant, and what's kept their legacy alive all these years later.
Prepare yourself for some jaw-dropping numbers and some serious whoa moments.
We're talking about players who didn't just play the game, they changed it forever at the college level.
And just to give you a sense of how we picked these guys, we looked at a few things.
Yeah, like did they rack up stats that people still talk about today?
Exactly. Did they win the big awards like the Golden Spikes?
Did they make a real impact on their program, or even on college baseball as a whole?
And super important to us, we made sure to include stars from all the divisions, because greatness isn't limited to just the big-name schools. You know?
Absolutely. It's all about the talent and the drive.
Right.
So, with that said, let's jump right in with a name that practically defines power hitting in college baseball. Pete Incaviglia.
Oklahoma State.
Oklahoma State, you got it. This guy, he played from 83 to 85, and he is widely considered the most powerful hitter college baseball has ever seen.
And when you look at his offensive numbers, it's pretty hard to argue with that.
I mean, just look at 1985.
Go ahead.
He set NCAA single-season records with 48 home runs, which, by the way, still stands to this day.
Unbelievable.
143 RBIs, and a slugging percentage of .915. I mean, for those who might not know, slugging percentage basically tells you how many bases a player gets per at-bat.
Right. It measures their power output.
And his was just outrageous. And it wasn't just one incredible season either. This guy is the only player ever to hit 100 career home runs in college. And his career slugging percentage, .915, is also an NCAA all-time best.
Think about it. Every time he stepped up to the plate, he was a threat to go yard.
Oh, yeah. Opposing teams practically had to rewrite their entire pitching strategy when they faced him. It was like, okay, how do we not let this guy hit a home run?
Right. And you could see it in the way they pitched around him.
And of course, he racked up the awards too. A two-time first-team All-American, the Sporting News National Player of the Year, and the 1985 Golden Spikes Award winner.
Yeah, all the big ones.
And get this, Baseball America even named him the College Baseball Player of the Century for the 1900s.
Wow.
That's some serious recognition right there. Right, next up we have another Oklahoma State legend, Robin Ventura.
Now, Ventura, he played from 86 to 88, and he was a different kind of offensive powerhouse.
Oh, yeah, he was all about consistency.
Exactly. He's most famous for holding the NCAA record for the longest hitting streak, 58 games. That means he got a hit in every single game for almost 2 months straight.
I mean, can you imagine the pressure to get a hit in every single game for that long?
It's pretty mind-boggling.
It really is. And on top of that, his career batting average was an insane .428. That puts him among the highest in Division I history.
And let's not forget, during that 58-game hitting streak here in 1987, he also smashed 21 home runs and drove in 110 runs. That earned him the Golden Spikes that year, too.
Yeah, a well-deserved Golden Spikes. Ventura was also a three-time All-American and led Oklahoma State to not one, not two, but 3 College World Series appearances.
Pretty impressive.
And he even snagged the very first Dick Howser Trophy in '88.
Oh, right. The award for the National College Baseball Player of the Year.
That's the one. His 329 career RBIs really show his ability to not only get hits, but to drive in runs like it was nothing.
A true run producer, he was a threat every time he came up to bat.
He really proved that you could be a high-average hitter and still be an absolute run-producing machine. All right, let's move on to Phil Stevenson from Wichita State.
Oh, this guy was a stat sheet stuffer.
He played from 79 to 82, and man, his career numbers are just ridiculous.
Let's hear him.
All right, are you ready for this?
I think so.
He holds the NCAA career records for hits with 418, runs scored with 420, stolen bases with 206, and walks with 300.
Wow. That's a whole team's worth of stats right there.
I know, right? And he was also the first Division I player to ever reach 400 career hits.
That's amazing.
Oh, and I almost forgot. His career batting average was a very respectable .373. But then you look at his on-base percentage.
Which is?
A mind-blowing .505.
You're kidding.
I'm not kidding. That's an NCAA record. He also had a 47-game hitting streak at one point.
Wow. So close to Ventura's record.
Right. It was the division I record until Ventura came along and broke it. But what makes Stevenson even more remarkable is that he was a threat in every aspect of the game.
What do you mean?
He had a rare combination of speed and power. He hit 69 home runs and stole over 200 bases.
That's incredible. You don't see that kind of versatility very often.
Nope. He was a true five-tool player. He was the NCAA Player of the Year in '82, and he led Wichita State all the way to the College World Series finals.
So he was a winner, too.
Absolutely. A truly special player. Okay, let's travel back in time now to the late 70s.
Back to the 70s, okay.
And talk about Bob Horner from Arizona State. He was like the original blueprint for the modern power hitter in college baseball.
This is before the aluminum bats really took over, right?
Exactly. Horner played from 76 to 78, and he set what was then an NCAA record with 58 career home runs.
And this is all with wooden bats, right?
Yep, all wood. And not only that, he was a key player in Arizona State's 1977 national championship run. He was even named the most outstanding player of the College World Series that year.
Clutch performer.
Oh, yeah. And then in 1978, he went and won the very first Golden Spikes Award ever given out. That season, he hit an incredible .412 with 25 home runs and 100 RBIs.
Those are some monster numbers.
Those numbers were basically shouting to the world, hey, this guy is the real deal.
Right, and the pros definitely took notice.
Oh, for sure. He ended up with 229 career RBIs and a slugging percentage over .700. But here's the thing that really shows how good he was. He went straight from college to Major League Baseball, and he homered in his very first game.
I remember that. It was huge news. Talk about making a statement.
Right. Like, I'm here and I'm ready to play. Okay, let's switch gears now and talk about some pitching. Mark Pryor, who played for USC, had a season in 2001 that's widely considered the most dominant pitching performance of the modern era.
You're talking about the aluminum bat era here,
Well,
right?
exactly.
Okay, so what were his numbers like?
All right, get ready for this. 15 wins, only one loss, a tiny ERA of 1.69, and an unbelievable 202 strikeouts in just under 140 innings pitched. I mean, those are numbers you'd expect to see in a video game, not in real life.
Sounds like he was virtually unhittable.
He was. He led USC to the College World Series that year, and he won every single major pitching award you could think of.
I bet hitters were terrified to face him.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure they were. His strikeout-to-walk ratio was just absurd. He struck out 202 batters and only walked 18.
So he had pinpoint control, too.
Unbelievable control. He was averaging almost 13 strikeouts per 9 innings, and no other pitcher in the aluminum bat era had ever come close to that kind of performance.
A true game changer.
Absolutely. He was undefeated in Pac-10 play that year and had 6 complete games. It was like he was on a completely different level. He basically raised the bar for what was considered excellent pitching in college baseball.
Amazing. Okay, now let's talk about a guy who was dominant on both sides of the ball, John Olerud from Washington State.
Oh, yeah. Olerud was a rare breed.
A true two-way player.
He had one of the most remarkable seasons ever in 1988.
Lay on me.
He's the only player in NCAA history to win 15 games as a pitcher and hit 20 home runs in the same season. I mean, talk about doing it all.
That's amazing.
He went 15 O's on the mound with a 2.49 ERA.
Undefeated.
At the plate, he hit .464 with 23 homers and 81 RBIs. And his slugging percentage, over 1.000.
How is that even possible?
I know, right? It's mind-blowing. He was named Baseball America's Player of the Year that year.
Deservedly so.
And just to give you an idea of how special he was, they created a whole award named after him, the John Olerud's Two-Way Player Award.
That's awesome.
It is. It recognizes the best two-way players in college baseball in honor of Olerud's incredible achievements. His ability to excel at such a high level, both pitching and hitting, is just something you don't see very often.
He was a one-of-a-kind talent.
And he really put Washington State baseball on the map.
Okay, let's switch gears again and talk about another hitting machine. Will Clark.
Will Clark, the thrill. From Mississippi State, yeah. He was part of the legendary Thunder and Lightning duo with Rafael Palmeiro back in the mid-'80s.
Mississippi State was a force back then.
They were. Clark won the Golden Spikes Award in 1985, hitting .420 with 25 home runs and 77 RBIs.
That's a heck of a season.
And he led Mississippi State all the way to the College World Series, where he was named to the All-Tournament team. Over his college career, he hit .391 with a slugging percentage of .664.
Wow. Those are some serious power numbers.
Right. He was a two-time All-American, and what really set him apart was his clutch hitting. He always seemed to come up big in the most important moments.
He was a gamer.
And he really elevated the Mississippi State program to new heights.
I bet he made a lot of fans in Starkville.
Oh, I'm sure he did. He also starred for Team USA in the Olympics, showing he could compete at the highest level.
Representing the country on the international stage. That's pretty cool.
It is. All right, moving right along, let's talk about a pitcher who really brought the heat. Steven Strasburg from San Diego State.
Oh yeah, Strasburg was something else.
His 2009 season was just electric.
Electric, how so?
Well, he had a 13-1 record, a minuscule 1.32 ERA, and he led all of Division I with 195 strikeouts and only 109 innings pitched.
He must have been throwing some serious gas.
Oh, he was. He routinely hit the upper 90s with his fastball, sometimes even cracking 100 miles per hour.
That's major league velocity right there.
It was insane. And he had 13 games where he struck out 10 or more batters.
Wow, he just dominated everyone he faced.
He did. He won the Golden Spikes Award that year, was named the National Pitcher of the Year, and even threw a no-hitter.
No-hitter, wow.
It was pretty clear from the start that he was destined for greatness. And when he was selected as the #1 overall pick in the MLB draft, that just confirmed it.
I bet scouts were drooling over him.
Oh, for sure. He had that rare combination of overpowering velocity and incredible control. It was just unfair to college hitters.
He single-handedly put San Diego State baseball on the map.
He really did. Okay, now let's talk about a guy who was an offensive machine, especially for a catcher. Buster Posey from Florida State.
Posey, yeah, he was a stud.
His 2008 season was just legendary. I mean, he won the ACC Triple Crown that year.
Triple Crown, that's like the holy grail for hitters.
It is. He hit .463 with 26 home runs and 93 RBIs. He also led the entire nation in hits.
He was unstoppable at the plate.
And get this, he was also Florida State's closer.
Wait, he closed games too.
He did. He had 6 saves and an ERA under 1.00. It's pretty rare to see a catcher who can also be a dominant closer.
That's insane. Talk about versatility.
I know, right? It's unheard of. He swept all the major National Player of the Year awards that year too, the Golden Spikes, Dick Howser Trophy, you name it.
He must have been a nightmare for opposing teams.
Oh yeah, and his .463 batting average is still the highest in Florida State history.
And he did all that while playing catcher.
Which is just mind-blowing. I mean, catching is such a demanding position.
It really is. You got to be tough, you got to be smart, you got to be able to handle a pitching staff, and on top of all that, Posey was putting up those crazy offensive numbers.
He was truly a special player. Okay, let's jump ahead now to a more recent star, Adley Rutschman from Oregon State.
I've heard of him. He's in the MLB now, right?
Yeah, he was the #1 pick in the 2019 draft. But before he went pro, he had an amazing college career.
What made him stand out?
Well, for one thing, he was the most outstanding player of the 2018 College World Series. And in 2019, his final year at Oregon State, he hit .411 with 17 home runs and led the nation with a .575 on-base percentage.
That's an incredible on-base percentage.
It is. He won the Golden Spikes Award that year, and he was also a leader for the pitching staff, calling the game from behind the plate.
So he was a great defensive catcher, too.
Oh yeah, he was considered one of the best defensive catchers in the country. He led Oregon State to back-to-back College World Series appearances, and he was a true leader on both sides of the ball.
A complete player.
Absolutely. Okay, next up, we have Billy Wagner, a pitcher who made a name for himself at Ferrum College in Division III.
Division III, wow.
Yeah, he was a pitching sensation. He holds the Division III career strikeout record, and he actually set an all-division NCAA record with over 19 strikeouts per 9 innings in a single season.
19 strikeouts per 9 innings, that's just insane.
Yeah, it is. And to show you how good he was, he ended up being a first-round draft pick by a Major League Baseball team.
From Division III.
From Division III. That just goes to show you that talent can come from anywhere. He really put Division III baseball on the map.
He must have had some incredible stuff.
Oh yeah, his fastball was electric.
Those strikeout numbers speak for themselves.
They really do. All right, we're in the home stretch now. Let's talk about Ivan Melendez, a slugger from the University of Texas who had an incredible power display in 2022.
Texas, okay.
He led all of Division I that year with a .387 batting average, 32 home runs, and 94 RBIs. Those 32 home runs were the most any Division I player had hit in over 20 years. in the BBCR bat era.
That's a ton of power.
He swept the major awards that year, winning the Golden Spikes Award, the first Texas Longhorn to ever do so, and the Dick Howser Trophy, where he was the unanimous selection.
Unanimous. Wow, that means every single voter picked him.
Yep, he was that good. And he helped lead Texas to back-to-back College World Series appearances. He was just an absolute monster at the plate. What an incredible collection of talent, spanning every division and representing every aspect of the game.
From record-breaking power to unbelievable consistency, dominant pitching, and incredible two-way play. Something for all of us to ponder.
It is. So until next time, keep exploring the rich history of college baseball. You never know what amazing stories you might uncover.
There are so many great players and stories out there just waiting to be discovered.
That's right. So get out there and keep digging. You might just find your new favorite player.
And who knows, maybe you'll even be inspired to go out and play some ball yourself.
That's what it's all about. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We'll see you next time.
See you then.